Hey, everybody, it's Ashley Kirkwood with the Speak Your Way to Cash podcast, the podcast where we're talking about how speakers and entrepreneurs can literally speak their way to cash and build their speaking empire. So I wanted to start this episode off with kind of an introduction because if you all have been with me for a while, you know that this podcast was originally called The Currency of Confidence. And I talk a lot about how to build your service-based business, and speaking is definitely a service-based business, but you can also have some product lines as well. But I changed the name of the podcast because I have a community on Facebook called Speak Your Way to Cash, a group for speakers and entrepreneurs, and it has been bustling and booming. And I do some events all across the country called Speak Your Way to Cash. And so in order to be in alignment with the brand that I'm building and the brands that I have, because I have multiple, I decided to change the name of the podcast. So Speak Your Way to Cash will still be talking, of course, about confidence, which is instilled within everything, but specifically we'll be gearing the audience or the content towards speakers and entrepreneurs who want to sell from the stage. So people who either do paid speaking engagements and or speak all over the country at different conferences in order to better position and profit from their businesses. So let's get started. What is Speak Your Way to Cash? So as of right now, Speak Your Way to Cash is this podcast. It's also a Facebook group that I have on Facebook, totally free. So join the Facebook group. And it is also a series of events that I've been doing. I've done one in Chicago. I have another one in Chicago on June 29th. And then I'll have one in Atlanta on August 30th. And at these events, what we do is we teach speakers, newer speakers and entrepreneurs how to increase their profitability in their speaking business through getting press, sales strategies, and a few other techniques that we teach in the course. And so it's something that I am extraordinarily passionate about. You all know that I'm a lawyer, but I also run a speaking business. And one of the things, just being totally transparent, that I've struggled with in doing this podcast is how do I streamline my businesses? So I run a nonprofit called the Kirkwood Foundation. My husband and I run it. He helps me a lot with that. I have my law firm, Mobile General Counsel. I represent entrepreneurs at my law firm. And then I run a speaking business totally separate where my clients are colleges and corporations, more colleges and corporations and also high schools. And I talk about confidence, leadership, and student success. So I'm running these three businesses. I do have a small team, but it was getting hectic, guys. And the podcast is my baby. So it's something that I do. I don't have my team help out a lot with the podcast. They're focusing on sales and getting in engagements and managing my administrative tasks. So I really needed to streamline. And for any of you out there that are entrepreneurs, just shoot me a message if this resonates with you. But I loved the podcast. I love Currency of Confidence, which is actually the title of one of my signature speeches. But I was struggling with the timing of it all and putting out content consistently and streamlining the content that I was putting out and ensuring that it could benefit more than one audience. Because when you run multiple businesses that are tangentially related, you do want to make sure that all of your audiences can benefit or there's some cross promotion and it doesn't feel like you're working for 5 different companies. And at one point, I literally felt like I was working at 5 different companies. So in a transparent moment, because I like to tell you guys the behind the scenes stuff. And if you listen to the podcast, you know that I get kind of deep with the behind the scenes stuff. I'm going to tell you how I made this determination. When I am figuring out what I need to do, I look at profit. So I figured out where my money was coming from. Right now, my money comes from 2 main streams of income. It comes from my law firm. I get, the law firm does really, really well. We really scale the law firm up through an Instagram sales strategy. So if you want more information on that, let me know. But essentially, I built my law firm from Instagram and Facebook. And so the law firm is doing pretty well. And it actually has systems in place now where I can bring people in. They can duplicate my efforts and it'll run and bring in clients smoothly. So that's great. The other place I get a lot of my income is speaking, which takes a ton of time because I'm traveling and I'm speaking and I'm doing all these things. But those are the 2 places that I'm getting money from right now. And speaking is the thing that I love. I don't like to say the most, but it is the thing that I absolutely love to do. It's the thing that I believe I was put on this planet to do. And it's the thing that I feel, if I continue to work at it, I could be one of the best in the world at it. So I've said this before, but when you think about what is it, what is your purpose? What is the thing you want to do? You want to think about what is the thing that if you invested in it, you could be the best in the world at. That's typically the thing that you want to invest in so that you can become the best in the world at it. You can love it. You can work hard at it. You can read about it, and then you can, live out your purpose. So those are the two places that I was getting revenue. And so I had to have a really honest dialogue with myself about, okay, what else can I cut? Because I am married. I do have civic obligations, community obligations. My husband and I are we're really involved with our church. And so when looking at the two things that brought in revenue, speaking and law firm, can't cut the law firm, obviously, can't cut speaking, obviously. I have clients for both the law firm and speaking. So the podcast, I want to keep it going, but it has to be in alignment with one of the two streams of revenue that I have coming in. And so that's kind of why I made the change. And so it'll still be motivational. It'll still be impactful. We'll still talk about confidence. It'll be infused throughout everything that we do, because as a speaker, you need confidence, obviously. You definitely need confidence as a speaker. But we'll be talking about the business aspects of the speaking world and how to build that business and how to get started in that business. And we'll have on guest experts who are within that field at all levels, and they're doing well in one or more areas of the speaking business. And I'm super excited about it. And I will also be sharing tips and strategies that I use to get my first speaking engagement. So that's that. That's the change. That's why it's happening. So if you're looking for the Currency of Confidence past episodes, I didn't change those icons, so you can still find them on this platform. Moving forward, though, all the Speak Your Way to Cash icons that are about speaking specifically will have the speaking icon, and moving forward, that's kind of what we'll focus on. So I've explained why the name changed. What is Speak Your Way to Cash? When did my speaking journey start? I would say, honestly, it started when I was a child. So I have always spoken, right? When I was 4 years old, I did my first baby pageant. And I essentially spoke and sang. I can sing, so I won't be singing on here, but I sing. And I did that, and that's kind of how I got my first taste into public speaking, and I continued to do those pageants. And on through high school, I did speech competitively. I started getting paid to speak in college when I would do conferences across the city of Chicago for different girls empowerment groups and youth groups. And I started getting paid I hate to say real money, but I don't really know another way to say that. So I'm just, don't be offended by this, but real money. When I graduated law school, that's when I started really being paid to speak and getting offers that allowed me to see that, oh man, this could be a career path. I could literally do this and build a business around it. So that's kind of when my journey started. My first engagement that paid more than $1,000 or thousands of dollars came after I had recognition in a business journal. And so one of the things that is infused throughout my speaking trainings when I work with people and coach them and talk to them about their speaking journeys is you really should focus on, or at least try to get press. And one of the past Currency of Confidence episodes, which you can find on this platform, was about getting press. And I think that that's important because when I got in the press, it really allowed me to command a higher speaking rate. And a lot of folks do ask me, how did you set your rates? How did you come up with your rate? I kind of looked at what was industry standard and what I needed to make if I was traveling. And then I also looked at how I could make it how I could make it an all-inclusive rate. So I didn't want to give a client okay, pay me $3,000 for this, $2,000 for travel. I just make it an all-inclusive rate. So that's kind of how I came up with it. And I think it's easier for my team. For those of you out here who are like, I want to start speaking, they're going to handle my travel. When you speak, one thing to know is that you travel a lot. And so you personally, I don't like other people making my travel plans, because what if I get another engagement you want to be in control of your travel schedule, essentially. So we'll just leave it at that. And it's happened to me recently. So I'll be speaking in Miami in July. And right after the Miami trip, I may be going to New York to speak at a national conference. And so I wanted to make sure, because I'm in control of my travel plans, I always buy the refundable ticket that I can change without an additional fee. And so I'll be able to accommodate both engagements. But that happens a lot. And so you want to make sure that you're in control of your travel plans, which is why I do all-inclusive fees. We'll talk more about that in another episode. But that is kind of how my speaking journey started. So now I do about 35 to 45 engagements a year. I like to be around those numbers because I am still running a law firm. And so I do a lot of those engagements as well. So that's kind of where I'm at. Those are paid engagements. I'm really excited about my speaking journey. I also love, one of the things that I love that I didn't even know that I would love this much. I started Speak Your Way to Cash, the event series and the Facebook group, because people would see me posting about speaking at colleges and universities. And I did a college tour last year, and I spoke at law schools, HBCUs, and a few undergraduate institutions, but a lot of law schools. And people were asking me, how are you getting these engagements? How are you reaching out? What are you saying to them? What's your sales script look like? And I was getting so many questions that I couldn't really accommodate those questions and still run the businesses that I run. So I started the Speak Your Way to Cash Facebook group. I started the Speak Your Way to Cash event series, and it's great. What makes it unique is that we talk a lot about how to get press, how to pitch yourself to the press by way of building a brand, and even how to pitch yourself to television networks, because I'm on a local station in Chicago, and it's been very helpful with just brand building and credibility, and everyone's Googling you, and you want things to come up, right? You don't want to be hard to find, and the media really, really, really helps that, because those outlets already have traffic. And there are opportunities to get paid for doing some of those appearances as well. Personally, I do it for the exposure, but if you want to write for a living or get money from your op-eds and getting your articles placed, there is a market for that as well. So it can kill two birds with one stone. So that's kind of how my speaking journey started, and how I help people along their speaking journeys is through my events, my free Facebook group, resources that I put out every now and then when I'm negotiating with a client. After I negotiate, I'll go on Facebook Live, and without saying the client's name, of course, I'll talk about the negotiation strategy that I use to increase my rate. And so all of that happens. But to be honest with you guys, the number one skill I think you need to be a successful speaker, to run a successful speaking business, is sales. And so a lot of what we'll talk about on these podcasts and with the experts that we bring on will be, how is your sales strategy? How did you develop that? How did you start that? How did you find these engagements? What were you doing that made you different? How are you standing out in a saturated market? What organizations and groups are you a part of? The questions that I wanted to know, I would sit at home on podcasts and I would listen in, and there are a few great ones out there on speaking, but I sometimes felt as though they weren't from the perspective of someone currently building their career. They were from the perspective of people who've already built their careers. And when you are just building, because I know how that feels to be starting a business. I started my law firm in a year, or within the past couple of years. And so I know those questions that are top of mind, that are pressing, that are making you wonder, what do I need to do? How do I start this? How can I make this profitable? How much time should I be putting in? How many people should I be pitching? How long does it take for me to see a return on my investment? The questions that, you want to know when you're just getting started. And honestly, the questions that you want to know when you have larger revenue goals that just have not been realized yet. So that's kind of what we'll be doing on Speak Your Way to Cash. And I'm super excited about it. If you want to join my Facebook group, I will put a link in the show notes. So come on over there and join us there. You should be able to just search on Facebook, Speak Your Way to Cash. You can always email me at admin@passionpurposeandpaychecks. And if you have questions that you would like answered, if you're a speaker out there and you want to know what to do, then you can always find me on Instagram at The Ashley Nicole Show, and just shoot me a DM and I will get your question answered if we can on air. So have a great day. Thanks to you for, I'm not editing this out actually, but thank you guys for rocking with me on this journey. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait to show you all the roster of guests that we have lined up. Tune in on Mondays. You'll be hearing from me soon.